announced its rejection of the nomination of Justice Paul Bafuboni. The minority then staged a walkout after heated exchanges when preliminary remarks made by the minority leader Alexander Penyomarkin sparked disagreement from the majority leader. Here is a news desk report.
The minority leader, Alexander Penyomarkin's use of the term disputed nominee to describe Chief Justice nominee Paul Bafuboni immediately drew sharp opposition from the majority leader, Mahama Yariga. This set the stage for a confrontational tone for the vetting process.
On behalf of the caucus, we hear with a heavy heart, but an unshakable resolve to defend the Constitution of Ghana, protect judicial independence, and uphold the rule of law. We gather to vet a disputed nominee for office of Chief Justice of Ghana. This should be a moment of national pride and institutional renewal.
I have an issue. The ranking member has no right, no lawful authority to raise anything about what happened in court, the processes leading to a removal of anybody, and the nomination of anybody. You have no right, pursuant to our rules, to raise those issues. So be guided, because if you raise them, I'm going to object. I am objecting to the use of the term disputed nominee, because there's no dispute before us regarding the nomination.
But the minority leader accused the majority leader of acting in bad faith, claiming he was trying to use his numbers to intimidate the minority.
There are dark clouds indeed in this country, where freedom of speech by mere operation of a supermajority, you cannot even as a member of parliament make your comment. I am not moving a motion. I am not debating.
The back and forth dragged on, with the minority insisting that the leader must be allowed to speak. But the majority maintained that his comment was an attempt to introduce an earlier motion on the floor of Parliament, which had been dismissed by the Speaker.
In the course of considering admitting this motion, Speaker determined that the motion cannot be admitted. Now, the minority leader, as ranking member of this committee, is using a backdoor approach. He has rehashed the terms of this motion contained in a speech, and he seeks to read that speech before this committee. It cannot be done.
The chairman of the committee, Bernard Ahiafo, after almost 2 hours, temporarily adjourned proceedings to rule on the matter. When the committee resumed, the minority leader was allowed to continue with his preliminary comment after announcing that their side had voted against the nominee.
We are, however, registering in the strongest terms that we reject the nomination, and the records should reflect that the report of this committee be a majority report. We would yield to you to proceed whilst we exit this committee room.
The report is not ready to be voted for. We are not at the stage of approval. So your conclusion is very preemptive.
Chairman, with respect.
This is not what I want you to respond to.
No.
Well, so the minority in the House has justified its reasons for not participating in the vetting of the Chief Justice nominee, maintaining that the appointment of Justice Paul Bafuboni is problematic. The ranking on the Constitutional and Legal Affairs Committee, Kwame Anyimedu Entry, addressed the media shortly after their walkout from the proceedings.
The way things are going, we think that we don't want to And if you are not careful, and you saw the interjection that I made, if you are not careful, you might even speak against anybody like the majority leader and whatnot, and we don't want to proceed. I don't know when the majority took the decision that when a minority has a position, we don't have to air it. I don't know.
Take this every paragraph, every line.
And it's not right. Let's allow the process. Let's go through the process. All the questions that we need to ask, let us ask them. I mean, that is what civil societies demand, but it didn't work that way.
Right, let's stay on the subject matter and get some governance perspectives to it. Professor Enoch Opoku has joined us. He's a governance consultant, and we want to pick his thoughts on this. Prof, good evening. Thank you for joining us on News 360.
Good evening and greetings to all your viewers everywhere in the world.
Prior to the vetting today, the minority had given clear indications they were going to ensure that it did not happen. Well, at the end of the day, it did happen. However, it was not without the drama we saw at the early part of the proceedings. What are your thoughts about the fact that the minority's appearance and subsequent decision to read a statement and stage a walkout did not seem to mar the entirety of the vetting?
Thank you. Two things that is important here. We were expecting openness and collaboration, and we were not expecting drama and confusion. But of course, we had the latter. If you look at this weekend, the MPP, I'm talking about the past weekend, the MPP had a press release that stated that they strongly condemn the vetting of Bafuboni and publicly denounced its outcome. That was the weekend press release by MPP. So definitely some of us were expecting this to happen because it is within their right to do so. But the mind-edge drama and confusion started when the minority leader said, we gathered here to vet a disputed nominee. So that is where the drama started. But if you look at the words that he used, heavy hearts, unshakable resolve to protect rule of law, they are acting in bad faith, dark clouds. These were the words that the minority leader used. But clearly, if you look at all that has got us into this place, Ghana cannot live without a substantive Chief Justice. I don't know why people have not looked at it that way. We cannot live without a substantive Chief Justice. And Article 146 is very clear that there is a tenure for Superior Court judges. There's a tenure for them. But on 3 cases that they can be removed. And the first one is stated misbehavior. The second one is incompetence. And the third one is inability to perform due to infirmity. So if these 3 have been used and procedurally, Tokono has been removed, why can't we have a substantive Chief Justice?
Right.
But we are talking about contested issues, what the minority leader called the disputed concept. So contested issues are determined in this way. We all understand that traffic must work. We all understand everybody should pay taxes. But the way we should pay the taxes are the contested issues. So I think that we all agree that unstated misbehavior, incompetence, and inability to perform due to infirmity, Article 146, yes, the Chief Justice should be removed.
Okay.
But we don't agree on how the person is supposed to be removed, because politics have found its way there. And that is why we are here. But I think that the first Deputy Speaker of Parliament and Chair of the Appointment Committee was very decisive and strong in his questioning today.
Yeah, it's interesting how it would take us some time to decouple politics from law and the judiciary. That would be quite a challenge. But my final question to you, Prof, would be the line of questions after the exit of the minority. The majority were the only ones who asked questions. What do you make of the weight of the questions that were asked? And would you agree or otherwise that it fit whether or not the minority were there and the question they may have asked if they were present?
Well, in my mind, the questions were very firm. The questions were very appropriate. Some of the questions they asked him was related to his job, what he was going to do. Unlike the previous vetting of the ministers, where people were asked about their beliefs, their faith, and where they had their money to go to school and all that. So these questions were targeted, and I think that they were very appropriate for the occasion. So they did a good job in the absence of the minority.
Professor Opokwenchi, thank you so much for your time this evening. He is a governance consultant.
And it's the rise of a new dawn for Ghana's judiciary after Chief Justice nominee Paul Bafuboni faced Parliament's Appointment Committee. Outside of the political storm in Parliament about the vetting, ordinary Ghanaians are asking their own questions. Can he truly restore faith in justice? Enyonam Haliga reports.
After hours of questioning before Parliament's Appointment Committee, Chief Justice nominee Paul Bafuboni has pledged to lead a judiciary anchored on independence, fairness and service to the people. Outside of the vetting chamber, Ghanaians want a different thing.
I think so far there are question marks that need to be answered, and I think that's what Ghanaians should be looking to it. That's what I think.
I feel that we should allow the judiciary to work independently so that you and I will have trust in the system.
Public trust is not the issue. The state of judicial infrastructure and housing for judges came up strongly. But perhaps the most delicate issue raised is the politicization of the judiciary. The former director of the Ghana School of Law, Kweku Ansa Asare, says restoring neutrality will require both courage and restraint.
What I think we should do as a nation is for the two political parties to stop, the political football, using the judiciary, on the political, football field and trying to score political goals here and there. I think that is what, the party should see, that the CJ is CJ for the Republic of Ghana, and the CJ is not CJ, for NPP or NDC. If he's able, to accommodate all shades of opinion, people won't see him as an NDC, Chief Justice, but rather as the Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana.
Legal practitioners want the next Chief Justice to focus on rebuilding public confidence in the courts.
Judicial decisions must not be determined by one's political affiliation. We must be able to clearly delineate the difference between political partisan affiliation and judicial decisions. Because if you are given an opportunity to make judicial decisions in the name of the Republic, you are doing it, you are exercising that right or that power in the name of the people of Ghana, by which reason you must be fair to all manner of persons.
For Ghanaians, rebuilding public confidence in the judiciary should be the key focus for the next Chief Justice. Enyonam Haliga, TV3 News, Accra.
We are shifting our attention, still on court-related matters though, but this time a former board member of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Asiedu-Dartey, has told the High Court that the Accra SkyTrain project was never submitted to the board, neither was it given board-level approval for funding. Asiedu-Dartey, the prosecution's first witness, submitted his witness statement into evidence when the trial of former Chief Executive of GIF, Solomon Asamoah, and the board chair, Professor Ameyo started today.
Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund, Solomon Asamoah, and former board chair, Professor Christopher Ameyo have been charged with 6 counts of intentionally causing financial loss to the state in the sum of $2 million for the Accra SkyTrain project, which never materialized. They have pleaded not guilty and are on bail. In court on Monday, November 10, the prosecution led by Deputy Attorney General Dr. Justice Remsai called on the state's first witness, a former board member of the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund. Asiedu-Dartey, among other things, indicated in his witness statement that although the SkyTrain project was introduced as one of the board meetings, no proposal was submitted and hence there were no deliberations or approval for its funding. Dartey explained that he only became aware of the alleged $2 million payment for the SkyTrain project after reading the Auditor General's report. He further dismissed certain minutes from an alleged GIIF board meeting, noting that it did not accurately reflect the board's reflections on the SkyTrain project. His first witness added that during his tenure as a board member, multiple investment projects were undertaken, including Terminal 3 of Kotoka International Airport and Maha Beach Resort. After tendering his witness statement as evidence, the defense lawyers were called to begin cross-examination of the prosecution witness. The case has been adjourned to Wednesday, November 12 for continuation of the cross-examination. Asiedu-Dartey, TV3 News, Accra.
Still in court, lawyers for the third convicted coup plotter, Bright Alan Deborah Ofosu, have expressed confidence in the appeal of the death sentence after their client was granted bail. Early on, the High Court granted Deborah Ofosu a 2.5 million cedi bail pending the appeal of his sentence at the Supreme Court. Another report by Lord Ido-Asari.
Bright Alan Deborah Ofosu, a fleet manager, was convicted alongside 5 others for conspiracy to commit high treason and was subsequently sentenced to death by hanging. He filed both an appeal and an application for bail pending that appeal. The panel of 3 justices presided over by Justice Eugene Yedunyante ruled that after considering the affidavits in the support and in opposition, the convict had demonstrated exceptional circumstances which warranted the grant of bail. As part of the bail conditions, Deborah Ofosu is required to submit his passport to the court registry and can only travel outside the jurisdiction with express permission from the court. He is also to be placed on a stop list at all entry points in the country. One of the 2 sureties must be justified with a landed property. The court further directed that the convict's appellant has 6 months to prepare the records of appeal and transmit same to the Supreme Court not later than April 9, 2026, adding that any breach of these conditions could lead to the revocation of the bail. His lawyer, Matthias Jochi, spoke to journalists after proceedings.
We've demonstrated other circumstances that show that the accused persons were not given a fair trial. For example, we've quoted from page 415, page chapter 25 of ACP Agbodjo's book. He was the 10th accused person in that case. And he outlined several breaches of the constitutional rights and other rights of the accused persons. And so we are very confident that this appeal we will succeed. And I'm not surprised that the court, by God's grace, has granted us bail pending that.
On January 24, 2024, a 3-member panel of the High Court, presided over by Justice Ifeasewa Asare-Botry, convicted and sentenced 6 persons to death after being found guilty of high treason. The 6, including military officers, were found guilty for their respective roles and sentenced to death by hanging. 3 others, including ACP Benjamin Agojo, were acquitted by the High Court. Asiedu-Dartey, TV3 News, Accra.
Let's go to one of our headline stories we have for you this evening. And organized labor is urging calm among workers who have expressed disappointment over the newly announced 9% increase in base pay. Labor leaders say while they expected a higher adjustment, they are prepared to push for a cost of living allowance from the 2026 budget if inflation and other economic conditions worsen. Our labor correspondent Daniel Opoku has more.
The government on Sunday, November 9, announced a 9% salary increase for workers on a single-spine salary structure, following a meeting with organized labor. The new pay adjustment is expected to take effect from January 2026. Some workers have expressed disappointment, saying the increase does not reflect the cost of living crisis. They have also criticized the leadership of organized labor for failing to secure what they describe as a better deal. But Deputy Secretary General of Trade Union Congress, Dr. Kwabena Nyakuotu, has appealed to the aggrieved workers to remain calm. He explained that organized labor will not hesitate to demand a cost of living allowance in 2026 if inflation and other economic factors worsen.
In 2022, the wage increase was 7%. Then, in the course of the year, when prices began rising faster, and the economy went out of gear and cost of living was unbearable, labor quickly regrouped and managed to force a 15% cost of living allowance from government. Okay, so when that point comes, we will surely cross the bridge when we get there.
General Secretary of the Teachers and Education Workers Union, TEU, King James Azotiba, also noted that organized labor will continue to engage government to ensure that the conditions of service for various unions are approved. He called on the government to prioritize recruitment of more workers into the public sector.
And once inflation starts going up, the lending rate will go up. Businessmen cannot borrow. employers cannot borrow to expand their businesses to employ, because government alone cannot employ this our teeming population. And so we have to factor all this as labor experts, and we understand the problem. Not that we are understanding government. We are resetting Ghana. All of us must reset.
Let's now go to the northern region, where members of the Association of Rice Producers and Processors in Ghana on Monday staged a protest in Tamale to demand action from government over lack of market for local rice and other locally produced grains. Farmers say the protest follows months of failed attempts to get government attention on the growing challenges facing the rice and maize value chains. They lamented that large quantities of rice, maize and soybeans remain unsold in warehouses across the northern regions, pushing many farmers into debt. The Northern Regional Minister, Ali Adolf John, who received the petition, disclosed that concrete steps are being taken to start buying both paddy and milled rice in the coming weeks.
The government to put ban for importation of rice 6 months. Then next month, everybody know it is Christmas. The Easter is coming, the New Year is coming, the Ramadan is coming. And these are the peak season for us. So if the government put ban 6 month ban for the importation of rice, I'm very sure Ghanaians would have no alternative than to switch to the local rice. And by doing so, after the 6 months, if the government is even lifting the ban, I'm sure by then all the surplus will have absorbed, because the current stock we have, the government alone cannot absorb it. Government-owned policy documents stated clearly that they are anticipating 1.7 million tons of rice this year. So if last year's surplus is over 200 tons, and we are currently going to produce 1.7 million tons, who is going to buy it? Currently, farmers are crying because they are owing banks. Most of them cannot even sleep their various houses. And yet the government turned its ears against us. Nobody is even talking anything about it. So we are appealing to the government, and we are not hearing anything. So today, we are going to demonstrate.
That was Alhaji Saibu Brahma, who is chairman of the Association of Rice Producers and Processors in Ghana.
So watching News 360 on TV3, and the drop behind us tells you what the next story is, which is that the acting Minister of Defense has led the committee that investigated the August 6 helicopter crash to present their report and findings to President John Mahama. The presentation was made at a meeting of the National Security Council. The report will be released to the public on Tuesday, the 11th of November, which is tomorrow. The Ghana Air Force Harbin Z9 helicopter crashed on the 6th of August 2025 at Adansi Ekrofuom in the Ashanti region, killing all 8 members on board, including 2 cabinet ministers.
In more news tonight, the world's attention is on Brazil as the 30th UN Climate Change Conference, known as COP30, opens in the Amazon city of Belém. It is being described as one of the most significant global gatherings on climate action in recent years. But what does this mean for Ghana, and what exactly is COP? Wisdom Safo has more in this report.
COP stands for Conference of the Parties. It is the world's main meeting on climate change where countries come together to agree on how to protect the planet. This year, about 50,000 participants, including delegates from Ghana, have gathered in Belém, a city on the edge of the Amazon rainforest in Brazil. They will assess progress since the Paris Agreement, the global plan to limit temperature rise to 1.5 degrees Celsius, and to decide on stronger actions to cut emissions and support countries most affected by climate change. For Ghana, the outcomes of COP30 matter deeply. Rising sea levels are already eating away at coastal communities, rainfall patterns are changing, and farmers are struggling to adapt.
Though we are among the lowest emitters, we are on the front lines bearing the heaviest burdens. The evidence is all around us. The increasing fury of extreme weather and rainfall variability, unprecedented floods, scorching heat waves and droughts that crack the earth. These are not abstract climate models, they are realities that translate into hunger, malnutrition, and the loss of livelihoods that sustain vulnerable communities.
Global funding pledges could help countries like Ghana build resilience, protect farmlands, and invest in cleaner energy. Hosting this conference in the Amazon is also symbolic. The rainforest is vital to regulating the world's climate, but is now threatened by deforestation. As talks begin in Brazil, the hope is that promises made here would turn into real action that could protect vulnerable nations like Ghana and secure the planet's future for generations to come.
The Ghana Gold Board has arrested 25 individuals whom it said were involved in illegal gold fabrication, trading and smuggling. The Deputy Chief Executive Officer, Richard Nunekweku, who briefed the media in Accra, said that the suspects have been granted police inquiry bail pending prosecution.
According to Richard Nunekweku, the first arrest involving 4 Indians and 1 Ghanaian took place on November 5. The arrest was led by a joint intelligence team from the Ghana Gold Board and the National Security. A second arrest involving 20 individuals took place on November 6. The suspects were found engaging in unauthorized gold fabrication and jewelry-making activities. The task force received various exhibits, which included gold pieces, rings, mobile phones, a CCTV recorder, a lock, gold bars, cash, and unlicensed gold trading documents.
Investigations are currently ongoing to trace secondary locations for these operatives and financial transactions linked to the suspects. At the moment, the Ghana Gold Board has granted these suspects police inquiry bails pending further prosecution of the matter. On the second arrest, Gold Board intelligence, acting on a tip-off, raided the premises of Legend Precious Metal located at Achimota, Akweteman, Accra. Preliminary investigations confirmed that Legend Precious Metal was operating without a valid license for the Ghana Gold Board.
So watching News 360, stay with us. Business, sports, entertainment are all coming up.
Michael Obodu. Now, government's Treasury bill auction held on November 7, 2025 fell significantly short of its target despite receiving substantial bids across all three tenors. This marks the fourth consecutive week of undersubscription. This report has more.
The auction aimed to raise a total of 6.835 billion cedis, but only received bids totaling 4.511 billion cedis. Government accepted 4.498 billion cedis, resulting in a shortfall of approximately 33% against the initial target. The 91-day bill remained the most popular tenor, with the government accepting nearly all the 611 billion cedis offered. It saw the highest subscription, with 3.606 billion cedis accepted at a yield of 10.92%. For the 182-day bill, bids amounted to 617.63 million cedis, while government accepted 612.63 million cedis at an interest rate of 12.61%. The 364-day bill had bids totaling 282.49 million cedis and attracted 279.34 million cedis in accepted bids at a yield of 13.01%. Despite the underperformance, government is pressing ahead with its domestic borrowing plan. It aims to raise a lower amount of 5.679 billion cedis in its next auction scheduled for November 14, 2025. The results of this latest auction suggest a continued appetite from investors, especially for short-term debt, but point to challenges in meeting ambitious funding targets.
Meanwhile, Head of Finance at Melbourne Capital, Nelson Kujo-Kwagbeji, has observed that the low yields are actively pushing institutional investors such as pension funds and asset managers to seek better profitability in alternative markets.
The undersubscription is basically attributable to the low rate in the market. Even though rate for the various maturities are increasing, the rate at which they are increasing is very slow, and so most of the institutional investors, most especially the banks, the insurance companies, and the pension funds, are diverting their funds to other profitable areas. In as much as the treasury bill rate is still higher than inflation, investors are still worried because they are not getting enough returns on their investment. And so the undersubscription that government is registering is basically due to the rate across all maturities.
Now, United Nigeria Airlines has launched its inaugural regional flight into Ghana with a direct service from Abuja to Accra. The airline becomes the 25th international carrier to operate at Kotoka International Airport.
The launch marks a major milestone in regional aviation, with daily flights from Abuja and 4 weekly flights from Lagos. Officials say the move will boost trade, tourism, and business travel between the two countries. At the ceremony, CEO and Chairman Professor Obiora Okonkwo described the expansion as a commitment to service, excellence, and regional integration.
While others connect, we United Nigeria will unite. It is our vision to unite all aspects of West Africa and beyond. That we will do by the special grace of God. So I thank the team that had made this possible here in Ghana.
The inaugural aircraft was named in honor of Ghana's late President Jerry John Rawlings, bearing the inscription, "The Legend Lives On." The Ghana Airports Company Limited welcomed the airline, describing the new route as a strategic addition to Accra's growing aviation hub.
I extend our warm congratulations to the entire United Nigeria Airlines team on this remarkable achievement. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the commencement of operations on the Accra-Lagos-Abuja route is a clear demonstration of the growing confidence in Ghana's aviation industry.
United Nigeria Airlines is a wholly owned Nigerian company with a vision to lead in the aviation sector by delivering enhanced services, strong relationships, and profitability through quality aviation solutions that exceed customer expectations.
And that'll be all for the business segment here on News 360. I am Michael Obodu. We'll bring you updates now from the currency and the commodities market.
Hello, good evening and welcome to the sports segment here on News 360 with me, Oreku Ampofo. Hearts of Oak have issued an apology following their misconduct by their player Hussein Mohammed and some other players in the Super Clash at full-time, where there was a scuffle after a 1-0 defeat to Asante Kotoko. The said incident marked the occasion, leaving police officials to guard the match officials into the tunnel. My colleague Billy Shen has more in the following report, which captures all the talking points from the game.
The Accra Sports Stadium was buzzing as two of Ghana's biggest clubs went head-to-head in yet another epic encounter. It was a beautiful mix of passion, fans, former players and neutrals all gathered to witness some of the finest talents in the local league. Asante Kotoko drew first blood before half-time. Guinea's Morofing Donzo fired into the top right corner from the penalty spot, beating Black Stars goalkeeper Benjamin Asare with ease after Peter Amidou was fouled in the box, a reward for his relentless energy throughout the half. The second half brought even more drama. Maoli Wayo's spectacular acrobatic finish was ruled out for offside, a decision that left the Hearts of Oak fans furious.
The goal is the goal of the year. The referee, they jealous the goal. That's why I didn't collect. But we Hearts of Oak, we go take the referee to court. We go take the referee to court. The referee is cheaters.
I'm thinking it's a nice game, but I believe officiating wasn't too fair.
The attitude of referees, people don't understand me. The multi-question that I'm asking that, why is that at the end of the day or at the end of the game, all the policemen will rush to the field?
What I want to see from Didi Dramani, I've seen. Complete game. My problem is we grew up to watch Ghana Premier League. We grew up to watch Ghana Premier League. How much is VAR that we can procure to protect our league?
Kotoko head coach Karim Zito was, however, full of praise for his side's resilience as they maintained the unbeaten start to the season.
Look at the chances we created, especially in the first half. Assuming it's gone and gone. I have nothing to talk about. That is why I'm there. We're going to work. You see, before match, it's a match. How do you understand this? Before every match, you prepare. After every game again, you also prepare. So we're going to prepare.
On the other side, Hearts of Oak coach Didi Dramani addressed his team's recent struggles in front of goal, insisting he's working with the resources available to him.
You want us to bring Ronaldo or somewhere? That's what we have. And they are doing their utmost best. Goal scoring is the ultimate, and it's not an easy thing to do. It is everyday activity. It's everyday, processes. It's everyday workout. It's everyday sessions, and it is better to be creating.
In the aftermath, the Ghana Football Association's disciplinary committee charged Hearts of Oak for allegedly failing to control their players and supporters. Midfielder Mohamed Hussein was also charged for reportedly assaulting the referee after the final whistle. He has since apologized on social media, calling his behavior unacceptable and pledging to make amends. Elsewhere, the top of the table clash between Aduana FC and Mediama SC ended goalless, while defending champions Bibiani Gold Stars suffered a shock 2-0 defeat to Basake Holy Stars.
Let's do some more here, where we head to former Ghana coach Chris Hughton, who has praised Otto Addo, hailing the current Black Stars coach as a very good candidate for the job.
Has graced the Black Stars as a player, firstly. I was fortunate enough to work with Otto in the last World Cup. He's a very good coach. He is now taken, which is not something in world football that many do. He has now taken a team to 2 World Cups. He's a very good coach. As an individual, I like him a lot. We had lots of good conversations before the last World Cup, and even since this qualification round. Of course, there was a big disappointment of not qualifying for the last or this next AFCON.
And so that was Chris Houghton speaking exclusively to 3 Sports. You'll be seeing more snippets of that interview across our different segments here on TV3 and on radio as well. My name is Oreku Ampofo.
In my line of work, a confident smile is everything. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste keeps me on top of my game and ensures my smile is always radiant and bright.
With the tiring nature of my job, we spend several hours under the scorching sun. To keep our teeth white and our breath fresh all the time, we use none other than Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. Kale Charcoal Toothpaste. You're on a Kessie and in a kit one.
Samayo Kendini. Who be Semecha Sapapadia to Amame Manfo. Kale Charcoal's natural ingredients.
Lifestyled and Napa Foods. Heaven Black Insecticide Spray and Coil. Powered by 3 Entertainment.
Well, good evening and welcome to the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko. Now, after weeks of anticipation, Mentor 14 officially kicked off on Sunday night and the contestants did not disappoint. Now, all 16 fired-up contestants took to the stage, thrilling fans and setting the tone for an exciting season ahead as they began their journey toward the coveted prize package. On the night, Tiki won the hearts of the judges and walked away with the title of Star Performer.
We know they hear what. We know they hear what. We know they hear what. After the big launch on November 2nd, it was yet another thrilling night as all 16 contestants took to the stage to stake their claim for the coveted prize package. The spirited contestants owned the night, choosing their own songs and delivering powerful performances during the freestyle night. Oh, and the land is dark and the moon is the only light we'll see. So darling, darling, come on, For the judges, the night was nothing short of breathtaking, a showcase of confidence, attitude, and exceptional showmanship from every contestant.
In your shoulders, your neck, every part of your body was performing. I like how you took the original and when you switched to your authentic song, you expressed it beautifully.
Tiki won the hearts of the judges and was crowned Star Performer of the Night, while Yeye impressed with creativity and flair to take home the Best Costume Award. Arguably one of its kind in the country, Mentor continues to offer underground talents the ultimate platform to shine and make their mark in the music industry.
Well, that's it for the entertainment news segment here on News 360. My name is Noella Donko.
Thank you, Noella. Coming up, international news.
The daughter of former South African President Jacob Zuma has pleaded not guilty to terrorism-related charges at the start of a trial in the port city of Durban. Duduzile Zuma Sambudla is being prosecuted over comments she made on social media 4 years ago during deadly protests in South Africa following the arrest of her father. A week of anarchy in several parts of the country in July 2021, including looting and arson, left at least 300 people dead and caused damage worth an estimated $2.8 billion. Zuma Sambudla, 43, has been accused of fueling this unrest and faces charges of incitement to commit terrorism and public violence.
Thank you for watching News 360. There is more news on our website, 3news.com. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey.
And I am Portia Gabor. Do join us for the concert at 10 p.m. for Ghana Tonight, as well as sports stations at 9 p.m. Good evening.